What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Lambo Plays podcast, episode 85. I'm your host, Narco Cop, along with my co-host, Timothy Troiano, and this is UFC Mexico City, 13 fights, a lot of missed weight, some guys with all types of shit on their body. We're going to talk about all of that. And Tim, did you see that weigh-ins and all this nonsense that's going around?
I only saw the morning time with Shirez and Lacerda, but that was there's more. I got to hear more.
Oh, there's some more. There's some more for sure. We're gonna talk about it. 77 already in here. Let's hike that number up. We need to get up there. Let me go over to my chat. Let me shout out my chat. Last week, not a great week, but not a bad week. It was a mediocre week, a slight winning week, but we're trying to get back on track here. UFC Mexico City. I'm not going to talk about elevation. That's the only time I'm going to talk about elevation. That's it. I'm done. Bufu on the beat. Got a good feeling about this week, boys. Yes, let's go, man. Let's go. We need it. We need it. Mushroom MMA. What is up? Narco and Tim. One more sleep. Best prop show, period. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. Always supporting Mushroom MMA. Joshua, big week. All the blank Tim can handle. We can't say that word anymore. MMA goulash. Let's fucking go. Let's get some violent blank bets. We can't say that word, Tim. Eric bets fights. Feeling ready to get the bread and speed off in a Lambo. Let's go, my friend. Nice to see you in here. Eric bets fights. Let's see who else. Dixon, what is up, man? We are here, baby. We're going to win muchos pesos tomorrow night. Yes, sir. We're going to try to win muchos pesos tomorrow night. Back again for the best MMA show of the week, says Luke Golding. What is up, my man? Thank you for joining. Jesse Q, I'm higher than the Mexico City altitude. I could say altitude. He didn't say that magic word. Let's go, boys. Craig Crowley says, what's up, guys? I have a good feeling about this card. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you, Shafiq. What's good, my G? Thank you for joining. Normal Joe says, let's torch the books. We only get DraftKings in New Hampshire. Like, I don't understand this, guys. Like, fucking make it legal everywhere already. This is the United States of America. It doesn't seem like it's the United States of America. Rumdog, what is up, my man? Ready to go. Let's cash those tickets. Yes, sir. Joel S., I feel like there's some late finishes on this card. Let's get that money. You might be right. Undertaker, what is up, my man? Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Kiwi Brew, always in the house, always supporting. Thank you, my man. St. Stephen, thank you as always. Also, my friend DA07, it's only right that during UFC Mexico, that Tim cooks up the meanest Wagyu steaks and the meanest Lambo parlay of 2024. I like that. I like that. Mr. Chico, what is up? Das Files, what is up? Thank you for joining. My boy Wiz does. Much love, my brother. Had to come and sport. Zen, my friend. All I got to tell you is Zen. Ocasio Yair season, maybe. We'll see. Tom Clark, what is up, my man? Thank you for joining. Narrative Nation, George in the house. What is up? Damn, look at this. Ian Machado Gary's back in the house. He predicted a win, and he got it last week. Chrisology, what is up, my man? Thank you for joining as well. Arnon, thanks for another show, guys. Thank you for coming. And there he is, Scottsdale, Arizona in the house. Yes, freak. Thank you, Joel. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate you. Bill Norman, always also supporting. Thank you very much. I'm drinking, so 4 more sleeps. Oh, boy. Matthew Mack, the only show you must watch. I appreciate this, man. A lot of love. Let's fucking go. That's Dogfather right there. Andrew, thank you, bro. Thank you for popping in. Quiz. Man, there's a lot of people in here. Jim K, thank you. David Killebrew. Reggie Eats, what is up, my man? Ishu in the house. Thank you for joining, brother. With that being said, first fight of the night, Tim. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
It is in the featherweight division. It is the 10-2 Mohamed Naimov versus the 9-2 Eric Silva. We're going to switch this around, and I'm going to go first this week, Tim. You like it, huh? Let's switch the mojo here.
A wrinkle, dude. A wrinkle.
Let's wrinkle it. Let's wrinkle it. Yeah. So basically, I mean, Eric Silva, older guy here at 36 years old. Right? He's going to be turning 37 after this month. He trains over there in Mexico. I don't think that's going to help him, to be honest, because when he's fighting at regular elevation, he's gassing pretty damn hard. He got finished last time out in round 3. A lot of his fights are early finishes. It's not really coincidental. This guy's been finished in round 3 in both of his losses. And that's because his gas tank is just not very good, And I don't think now at 36 it's going to be improving. And on the other side, we have Muhammad Naimov, who, I was a big fader of this guy. Like, watching the Colin England, watching the Oliver Murad, I mean, these guys are not very good fighters, and he's losing to these guys in grappling exchanges, and he's just looking very, very bad in those fights. Now, the guy is 29. He somehow gets this call up to the UFC against Jamie Malarkey, up a weight class. Short notice. Looks like absolute dog shit for about a round and a half. He's getting pieced up. And then lands the big shot, and Malarkey goes to sleep. Then he fights Nathaniel Wood. He looks good. He commits a bunch of fouls. But you know what? He wins the fight against Nathaniel Wood. And Nathaniel Wood, honestly, should not be at 45. I mean, the guy is too small, right? He's not a 45er. I mean, Naimov doesn't have good gas tank. But he has been training his whole camp at the Elevation Fight Team in Colorado. I've been hearing through the grapevine, he's doing a ton of grappling. That's all he's been doing the whole camp is grappling. His cardio is probably, I don't even want to say probably, it's better than fucking Eric Silva. So this is how I'm going to attack this, guys. Round 1 Silva, I kind of feel like you have to play round 1 sub. It's 2,800. That's really like, I mean, just look at this guy's career. Like, round 1 sub, round 1 sub, round 1 sub, round 1 sub, whole bunch of round 1 finishes, So I think if Silva does it, it's probably round 1. But the props I really like and what I'm going to stick to is Naimov round 2, round 3. I think he's going to finish him. Even at face-offs, he was way thicker, bigger guy. And I just feel like he's going to finish. Silva's a big-time gasser, man. And there's a reason why Naimov is only plus 460 on round 2 and plus 800 in round 3. And that's because this guy gasses very fucking bad on the opposite side. So if you do have like Hard Rock, you can get 900. I think there's a couple other books. If you really search, you maybe can get 1,000 on round 3 for Naimov. But I like Naimov here, man. Late round props. This line, though, here, let me say something. This money line at minus 600, minus 650 in some spots on Naimov in this fucking economy with Joe Biden being the president, like fucking Uncle Weezy says, it's just not gonna work. So it's insane. These lines on Naimov are just absolutely insane. I don't understand them, but don't ever fucking parlay this guy at this price. I'm just gonna say that. So it's off to you, Tim. I had to end it with that.
Yeah, I agree completely. This money line is stupid. There's a bunch of fights on this card where I think the money lines are. I just think that there's like fake value on these dogs that are not going to win, and you're just like, oh, I got to put a value bet on this plus 400 fighter that's probably going to lose a fight, but then you're looking at minus 500s and minus 600s on certain fighters, just stupid. They're just protecting against the parlay boys that hit 11 out of 12 favorites last week, and they tend to do that on a lot of these cards nowadays. Yeah, I agree, man. I think that Silva's a total gas bag. I don't think that he loses position all the time in grappling. He goes for submissions over position, which a couple fighters in this card do. So Yeah, I just don't see him having extended success, and losing in round 3 to TJ Brown is like one of he's like one of the dumbest fighters in the world. So I just think that you got to take a shot on Naimov round 2, round 3. I also don't hate Naimov. I honestly think it's going to be a KO, but just with the way you're saying on the grappling and the mistakes that Silva makes in grappling, I just think that there's a sub 2 is plus 300 and sub 3 at plus 2100. I don't think those are terrible. I would lean that if it stays on the feet that he bonks him, but I do think that if it does get into a grappling, he gets him down on the ground and then loses position, I wouldn't be shocked. Naimov does have submissions on his record, and he isn't terrible grappling wise, but yeah, I like the same props. I like round 2, round 3, and I agree with you that if you are on the Silva side, you should probably just take his round 1 sub.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's dangerous early, and Naimov, maybe you could take advantage of him early, but man, as this fight goes on, I think he's going to cook him. And I don't really even like Naimov, but
no, neither do I.
Let's move on. Fight number 2. It is in the flyweight division. It is the 12-3 Victor Altamirano versus the 7-1 Felipe dos Santos. Tim, this one's yours.
So, this is an interesting fight. I think you got Victor Altamirano. For me, is a guy that's just very average everywhere. He's doesn't have the cardio to put out the volume that he tries to put out and spaz volume on guys, and then he usually gets tired in round 3, and isn't super. He seems super noodly to me from a physicality standpoint, and he can be bullied by stronger guys that can grapple. Fight against Elliott last fight was a good example of that. He just could not stop takedowns, and I think that the other side on Dos Santos, I think that there's a problem with a lot of these fights where you get a guy that performs like really, really well on short notice as a huge dog, and they come off a loss. And I think they're typically overvalued in their next fight. And I think that's what's happening here. I think the money line could be a little bit closer. I do think Dos Santos is the side for me, but I do think that the money line is a little bit wide. Just from him performing extremely well against Kopp, I think that it was a great performance for him. He threw great volume. He took some big shots. But like I said, I just think that a lot of times you overvalue or bettors and cappers overvalue guys in losses and good losses. But I do think that the volume and the striking, just the power that Dos Santos has is something that Altamirano really hasn't faced in a lot of his fights. I think it was Salvador rocked him in his last fight. I just feel like the difference in power between even Salvador and Dos Santos is pretty big. So I think Dos Santos KO plus 500, KO 2-3 plus 950 are the props that I would be looking at in this fight. I think that he can connect and eventually put out Altamirano for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you in almost everything. The one thing I will say is I honestly think Altamirano stinks, man. I don't like anything about what he does. His cardio is not very good. His defense is horrific on the feet. He's had terrible takedown defense. His hands suck. What else can I say? I mean, his best attributes are his kicks and his durability. I think that's about it, man. Like the guy is not very skilled, man. And, I just don't see where he's better than Felipe dos Santos outside of the kicking game, maybe. I mean, I don't know, man. Felipe dos Santos, yeah, he might be overrated a little bit, but, man, you got to remember he didn't fight a normal, 125er. He probably fought one of the best in the world 25ers in Manel Cape, man. Manel Cape is a really, really good fighter. And, he even buzzed Manel Cape in that fight. And Manel gave him a lot of respect after the fact. He said, that guy's a man. That guy's not a boy, and he just gave him a ton of respect. I mean, he busted his nose. And, you could see like that. That was like the first time I've seen Manal Cape actually get fucking buzzed, because he's fought very good fighters, and he just like in the striking, he just dominates people, right? He's a really good striker. And listen, he won that fight pretty comfortably. But Felipe Dos Santos had his moments. And the thing is, like, Alto Moreno really, he doesn't have power in his hands at all. It's like all he has is like kicks or knees in the clinch. Like maybe he can, listen, what I will say about Felipe Dos Santos is his takedown defense is not good. I don't like his takedown defense. He gets taken down a bunch, but it's like Alto Moreno what's he going to do? Hold him down? I don't think so.
His wrestling, he's not that strong.
And his wrestling is not very good. It's like on the feet, he's absolutely going to get destroyed, dude. He's like throwing his head down while he's throwing punches. It's so awkward the way he's fighting. And like you said, Salvador dropped him, I think, even in that fight. I don't remember if he actually dropped him, but he definitely hurt Alto Moreno. Let me go back and look at the stats. No, it doesn't have a drop, but he definitely fucking hurt him in that fight. I remember after I taped it. And then obviously Lacerda hurt him and dropped him. But yeah, man, Dos Santos, I think the KO is very, very live here. It's now down to about 500. I still think it's fine for a minus 300 guy, where I do think he carries a ton of power. And what's crazy is he's got 7 wins. He only has 2 knockouts. But a lot of those fights, man, he's dropping guys. He's hurting guys. So it's not like, the KOs are not materializing, but he is definitely hurting people. And the one thing we can say is he's getting a little bit older here now. He's only 23 still. So he was doing this when he was 20 and 21. And as you get a little bit older now, he's starting to get even more and more power. So, yeah, man. I mean, Alto Moreno how old is this fucking guy? 33. Yeah, there's a 10-year gap here too, man. I like knockout. Felipe Dos Santos plus 500. Alto Moreno is tough, but I can almost assure you a knockout is coming for this guy. And I'm going to kind of plant my flag here and say it comes here with Felipe Dos Santos. I mean, someone mentioned he's training with Tim Elliott. I don't care. Like, what's he going to learn in one camp with Tim Elliott?
He's fighting. What Tim Elliott is not anybody. Like, if you're putting guys that you want to train that are similar to the fighter that you're fighting right now,
definitely not him.
Couldn't be farther from the fighter he's fighting right now.
Yeah, I mean, some people are saying he's training with Tim Elliott. Whatever. Like, I really don't care. Marcus Degley tried to grapple Dos Santos and got triangle choke. Yeah, and Marcus Degley is a damn fucking good grappler too. He's a good regional fighter. Might even get to the UFC at some point. But yeah, I saw that fight. It was a war, man. Back and forth war in that fight. Alto Moreno is a cardio kickboxer who happens to be in the UFC. It's like he learned MMA by you know what's funny that you say that, SC? I read, well, listen, it's funny because there was a thing on him where I read an article. It said he didn't start MMA till he was 26.
Believe it.
So, like, he's 33, right? He started very fucking late. And, yeah, I mean, believe me, almost knocked Minnows mother. Yeah, man, he hits hard. He hits fucking hard. And, I don't think he's going to sub. I know that you say inside distance. It's kind of a little bit safer. I don't know if he's going to sub Alto Moreno, but I do think he can knock him out. Let's move on. Fight number 3. It is in the flyweight division because he's moving down. It is the 15-2 Luis Rodriguez versus the 19-4 Dennis Bondar. And I will take this one here. This is a late play for me. I made it today. I know somebody that's training Luis Rodriguez. He's been training him this whole camp. It's my guy Shorty, really good fighter, good guy. I always talk to him. I've been talking to him for a while, and I kind of hit him up, and I'm like, "Hey, Shorty, can you tell me a little bit about this guy?" And obviously, here, guys, take this like in context that this guy is training him, he's with him, so he might be a little biased too, right? But I kind of asked him, I dabbled a little and said, how's this guy look? Blah, blah, blah. You know, he's dropping to 25 from 35. He missed weight at 35 in his last 2 fights, right? How is he looking? Is he going to come in and miss weight? And, you know, and that's what I was waiting for, honestly. He came in and he looked fantastic on the scales at 125, right? When I watch this guy, he's not very technical on the feet. He throws 1 punch at a time. His grappling's iffy, but he's super green. He's super young, right? And he's fighting in Lux Fight League, which is probably one of the worst leagues out there. I don't like that league at all. However, the one thing this guy has in all of his fights is a lot of fucking power. And, you know, you're seeing decisions here a lot of the times. He's not really finishing everybody, right? He still has 7 knockouts and 15 wins. So, but my thing is he's dropping a lot of guys and hurting them. Dennis Bondar, to me, is the better mixed martial artist from what I see on tape. Doesn't mean he is the better mixed martial artist now, because this kid could be improving rapidly. He took a year off, you know, and his power is very, very good, man. And I could see it at 35. I can imagine if he hits guys at 25, he's going to be fucking hurting them. You know where I'm going with this? I played the KO. I kind of asked Torres today. Today, he looked great at weigh-ins, and I'm giving this to everybody. He looked great at weigh-ins, man. Like, and I see this guy's tape, and he seems to have a lot of power. And then he responded something like, man, this guy has crazy power. I would play the KO, he told me, if I can. And obviously, again, this is a guy in his corner. But listen, from the tape, Tim, you have like a buzzing noise. From the tape to what he's telling me, he has a ton of KO power. And I see it. I see the KO power. So I kind of feel like Dennis Bondar is a fluke, is like a flake, man. Honestly, I really believe he's kind of a flake, man. So I'm going to take the KO. It's plus 370 on Bet Rivers. I think he's going to knock him out here, honestly. I think this guy hits too hard. I think he's more athletic. I think he's going to be stronger. But on tape, the better technical fighter is Dennis Bondar. So there you go.
I think this fight sucks, to be honest. Like, I think that this is a really kind of shitty fight that I don't want to be putting a lot of money on it, or, you know, like, I'm not super confident in anything on this fight, to be honest with you. But the only thing that I don't disagree that I don't know if it's Ronaldo or Luis. They have different names on them, but like for Rodriguez, like, I don't disagree that he's got power, but I just think that both of these guys are just not really that great. And like, I feel like both of them make a lot of mistakes grappling, like really like everywhere, every fight that I saw where there was grappling involved, I see mistakes made by both of them. So I'm going to take a different stab on this one. Again, I'm not crazy confident in this fight, and I don't want to be betting. I'm probably not going to bet this fight, but ends by sub is plus 340, and Rodriguez by sub is plus 800. I think those are good looks, just from the mistakes that these guys make. I do think that there's a chance that this fight could have some grappling in it. I don't think that it's just going to be these guys standing. I know that Bondar does try to grapple. He doesn't try to always just stand in his fights, but when he does grapple, he makes a bunch of mistakes, as well as he gets fucking really tired as well in his fights. So I think that ends by sub is plus 340. Rodriguez sub is plus 800. If you want to get greasy, you could do sub 3 for Rodriguez is plus 1600. I do think that as Bondar gets tired, that's when he's going to more likely make a even stupider mistake on the floor. So yeah, I mean, I'm just basically going on the grappling deficiencies on both these guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Yeah, I mean, Bondar has a bunch of subs, but they're like against cans, like all cans. So, John Kelly, what is up, my man? Let's go. Bring in the heat with this weekend. I appreciate you, my man. What else? Let me go over to chat a little bit here. Joel says Rodriguez round 3. Please say so. I don't know. I think he slows down too. So I don't like the round 3 too much. Yes. This is what I like. I do think he has a little bit of the fraud vibes, honestly. I really do. Fight to end in KO. Nah, man. I don't think Bandar's knocking this dude. This kid looks tough as fucking nails. I don't think Bandar. If Bandar's winning ITD, it's sub. He's not knocking this guy out, in my opinion, at least.
I agree with that.
He looks very, very tough. But let's move on here, Tim. Fight number 4. It is in the lightweight division. It is the 12-3 Claudio Puelles versus the 14-4 Faraz Ziam, and this one is yours.
So this is kind of another weird fight because Faraz Ziam is a guy that is usually a decisionator that stays very, very safe on the feet, stays at range, very difficult to hit, but has had multiple like grappling issues early in his career and just being kind of noodly and having weak takedown defense in the beginning of his career. I think he's improved that part of his game. Also kind of improved his physicality and strength over the last couple of years as well. Cashed big on Terrence McKinney subbing him in round 1 in that fight. It was a stupid line, but now you look at the just the style of how he strikes and what he usually does from a safety standpoint, and just he's usually a decisionator. But then now you go into who he's fighting, and he's fighting Claudio Puelles, and Puelles for me is like just kind of like with Puelles I cashed probably one of the biggest bets of my life, money line wise, with Dan Hooker against him the last fight. I just thought that was one of the dumbest money line overcorrections ever. And I just feel like Puelles on the feet is dog shit, and he's meme sub or bust in usually most of his fights. And I don't think that this is any different. I think, if you're on Puelles, you got to bet him sub 1. And if you're, I can't do it. Honestly, I can't get to it. I mean, could he pull guard and could he get into a position like he did have on Dan Hooker? Yeah, it's possible. So, if you like him, take the shot on him by sub instead of the money line, because he's not winning a decision against Faraz here. And I would think that it's going to be early, like within this first 7 minutes of the fight, most likely the first 5 minutes if it's Puelles. He gasses hard. Dude doesn't have very much heart when it comes to taking punches. And that's where the decisionator of Faraz Ziam, I think, is potentially going to get a KO, and most likely in the second or third round. So I just feel like if he does what he should do, man, he should be able to piece this guy up. And it's just a question of his finishing instincts, and if he is willing to, get a little bit closer to him and go after Puelles here. I don't think that Puelles is going to be able to take the shots and just be willing to stay in the fire with him if he can't get him down to the ground. So yeah, give me a shot on Faraz by KO is plus 250, kind of a used Lambo. KO 2-3, if you combine it, is plus 500 on FanDuel.
Yeah, I mean, kind of broke down the fight. I don't have much to add outside of both guys are very young. Puelles 27, Ziam 26. But when you look over their careers, there's one thing that really sticks out with Claudio Puelles, and that is that when he's faced strikers, Dan Hooker, Martin Bravo, he's been finished in both fights. And you know how he's been finished in both fights, Tim? By body shots. Both fights, he's been finished by body shots, and both against strikers. And if you look at his wins, they're all really grapplers. He's fighting grapplers and just beating them. And, I mean, Ziam's not going to grapple. And he's the way better striker. And he uses his length well. And he's a good kickboxer. And he's got actually pretty good takedown defense. And his sub defense is not, I know McKinney got him, but Vendramini fight, he was down a lot. And Vendramini's a black belt and defended a lot. Um, I think he's gonna cook Puelas. He's gonna stir him up like this, right? And then the food is gonna be done, and he's gonna toss him out. He's gonna cook him. So this is one I like 2-3 as well. ZM is 750, 1200. If you have Hard Rock, it's the best line, plus 1200. Round 3. Yeah, I really think ZM's gonna cook him, man. Like, you can't Imanari roll forever, right? And Dan Hooker obviously is better than Fares ZM, but listen, Fares ZM is a very good striker as well, and he's improving. I mean, the guy is very young. He's 26 years old, so it's hard. It's very, very hard to bet on a guy like Puelas because his whole game revolves around some kind of meme sub, knee bar, this, that, and the other. Like, it's just not one of those guys I want to ever back. If you do want to back him, like you said, then possibly just play a sub, and hope that he Imanari rolls to a knee bar or single legs this guy down and finds a finish. But yeah, I mean, in the context of this fight, I like Fares ZM. I think it's a pretty good fight for him. Going up against the guy also, the Puelas, he's not very athletic, The guy's just not very athletic. So, and he doesn't have great wrestling. So, yeah. Fubu says, just playing devil advocate, Puelas got decision over Marcelo and got the round 3 knee bar on Chris Kreutzmacher.
Yeah, but look at the difference, dude. Remember the 50-1 that we hit on the knee bar? It's 5-1. I think the books know now that the knee bar is potentially
spot. I mean, but Marcus Mariano is absolutely horrific, though. I mean, you're talking about a guy that was like 30-something, not UFC level, terrible fighter.
There's also there's zero comparison of like the McKinney fight too.
Yeah, and it's like Grusmacher is not a very good striker, old as shit as well. Like I know what you're saying, but the comparison like to ZM it's just not close. They're completely different fighters. ZM is a way better striker than those guys. But
in Terrence McKinney, for the first 7.5 minutes of a fight, can actually wrestle. Like he's actually got he's very strong. He can wrestle. Like he can actually match up with guys.
He's talking about the Rojo fight. Oh, Marcelo Rojo in Ultimate Fighter. You're talking about. Oh, he wanted to say, yeah, but Rojo again is not a UFC level fighter. I do think ZM is. You're saying okay? I agree. Just not pointing out it's not round 1 sub or bust. Yeah, I don't think it's round 1 sub or bust. I think sub or bust.
I think it's the first 7 minutes, maybe early in the second round or like midway through the second round. But he totally does gas out. I mean, he does not.
Oh, he gas. Yeah, he gas.
Like, yeah, I don't think that it's going to be something that he's getting a late round or a third round finish and doing something.
He's got them, which is weird. He's got a couple of them actually, but just different level of fighters though, man. Like Greutzmacher's terrible, Silva's terrible. And he's got it versus those guys. I just don't think he's going to out-cardio ZM here. Let's move on. Fight number 5. Booked for the 10th time in the flyweight division. It is the 10-5 Edgar Chairez versus the 11-5 Daniel Lacerda. Short and sweet. I like Chairez here. I can't even give you round 2 anymore because I gave round 2. It's an official play of mine. But this line is just like everybody's hitting this round 2. And it's 330. I've never seen something so low. It's 330, Tim, for round 2. I've never seen that. I think we played it at like 4 something. Let me see. Round 2, Chairez.
380. It's 380 on DK.
Okay, you get 380. Yeah, I played it at 400. I guess 380 is okay. I just think he's gonna cook this guy. Like, what's there to say here? Right? I don't know. He's gonna destroy Lacerda. Lacerda, this is a very bad matchup for the 10th time I've said this. Guy that's very durable with good cardio that has nasty calf kicks. It's just a bad matchup, man. Lacerda needs a guy that's not very durable and that does not have great cardio. This guy's completely on the other end of the spectrum. So I think I think he cooks here. Round 3 is 1,000. If you can get to that, I don't even know if it gets there. That's the problem. No, Lacerda round 2. No fucking way. This guy is not gonna have cardio to do anything in round 2. He's a big fade, man. He's a big fade. And you know what? Honestly, this 6-pound or 5-pound weight miss for Chairez just makes it that much worse for Lacerda. And they're still fighting. So I'm pretty sure the UFC told him, fuck you. You cannot withdraw. I don't care if he missed by 5 pounds. You missed by 1. You guys are still fighting. So there you go. What do you have, Tim?
The same props. Round 2, round 3. I think it's round 2. I know that he had him locked up in a standing guillotine the last fight, but I think it's KO. I think it's a KO 2. So KO 2 is plus 650 if you wanted to get a little greasier on the plus 380. Is it possible that he subs him? Absolutely, yes. But I just feel like when Lacerda got KO'd by Altamirano from ground and pound. Like he gets to a point when he starts to gas out and then goes for a takedown and literally falls to his back because he can't get the takedown. And then I just feel like Chairez is gonna bonk him either on the ground or on the feet in the second round. I hope he can live for 5 minutes and maybe get some grappling success in the first round and then just die out in the second. Nothing really to add. This fight's been broken down like 15 times.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It could have happened in round 1. Yeah, Dixon, ground and pound. It could happen. I like the KO, though, over the sub. I really like the KO. And I kind of have my theory. I feel like he's pissed off that, they didn't give him the win last time. He maybe want to punish him a little bit here. So we'll see. It could even come like calf kicks, just calf kicking this guy and just fucking him up with 3 or 4 of them. Because Chairez, those calf kicks are nasty. Moving on. Fight number 6. It is in the flyweight division. It is the 9-2 Jesus Aguilar versus the 10-2 Matias Mendonca. And this one's yours, Tim.
Yeah, this is an interesting fight. This is I believe, a really good live betting spot. There's going to be a few different live betting spots. Maybe even the last fight might be if you see Lacerda having any success. But I just think Mendonca, to me, has 5 to 7 minutes of true gas, and the first 3 or 4 minutes is as hard, his best that he's going to fight. And then the next 3 minutes, it drops like 4 levels. And then the next 7 minutes, it drops like 10 levels. So every 3 minutes, you're going to see tremendous level difference between Mendonca's level. And I just feel like Jesus Aguilar is kind of the opposite. I feel like he kind of starts off shit, and then every 3 minutes or so, he gets better. So he's way undersized for most of his fights. He's got like T-Rex arms and is just like 5 foot nothing. I feel like if you're on the Mendonca side, I feel like it's just round 1, most likely a sub. Aguilar can put his neck in some bad spots in some of his fights, but I don't think it's going to happen this fight. I hope it doesn't, because I'm on the late round props for Aguilar. I think round 2, round 3 are good. Plus 800, plus 1200. And also, just like the Ness fight with Mendonca, to me, is just the biggest fucking red flag. You get this guy that's like going for heel hooks and just never letting it go. Like just like continually like eating elbows and just like taking shots. And you're like, dude, I mean, what is your fight IQ at? Like, I understand that every time you get hit and you have probably CTE at this point, but like, how dumb do you have to be to keep holding on to a fucking heel hook on a guy that is elbowing you for the 15th time in a row? You know what I mean? It's like, to me, that's just dumb as hell. And I don't think that this is something that, I think he's shown bad fight IQ as well as having the cardio issues. So like round 2, round 3, I honestly think that it's most likely, even for Aguilar, I think it's most likely a sub, but you can't run away from KO 2 is plus 24 and KO 3 is plus 3,100. Like, I just think that those lines are too big to not, like, if you're on the late round props, you take the 2, you take the 3 as your 85% of your bet, and then you throw like 10 to 15% of your bet, maybe small, on the round 2, round 3 KO, and just pray to God that he elbows the shit out of this guy as well, and you get to cash all of them. But yeah, I think it's a really good live betting spot as well. I think that there is a good chance that grappling wise, both guys could go back and forth and lose position early, and then you're going to look at a plus 200, plus 250 line on Aguilar, and then it's just like hammer time.
Yeah, I mean, I like Aguilar here. I think round 2, round 3 is very good here. He's got way better cardio. He trains up there in Mexico City. This guy's coming down to 25. Yeah, he looked good on the scales, but I think that's going to tax his cardio even more. And Jesus just keeps coming, man. He's going to keep grappling. He's going to keep coming. He throws decent ground and pound. When he gets your back, he tries to flatten you out. 2-3 is 800, 1200. KO 2-3, which I also like. I played. They're down to 2200 and 3100, but yeah, man, I think those are the sprinkles here, man. I think Mendonca is going to get cooked here. Jesus Aguilar is kind of like a bad guy to fight in the sense that he's not very skilled, but he just work him in and he's going to keep coming forward and he's going to keep pushing this huge grappling pace. And I think that's going to break Mendonca, to be honest. So fight IQ is bad. Cardio looks bad. Give me Jesus Aguilar here. Moving on, fight number 7. It is in the bantamweight division. It is the 18-4 Christian Quinones versus the 17-5 Hani Barcelos, and I'll take this one here. I have the Barcelos side, but man, Quinones' decision at plus 700, it honestly does not make sense because, first of all, Quinones is much younger. Second of all, Quinones throws a lot of volume. Third, Quinones is 5-0 in decisions. I think he has the better cardio between these two guys. He trains over there. Like, why? And listen, I understand that people are looking at it like this. They think it's either Hani Barcelos or he's going to get knocked out. But I don't look at it like that because Hani Barcelos has been knocked out, one time in his career against Umar. And okay, Umar is like levels above a lot of people, right? But Kyler Phillips last time, young Kyler Phillips that has a lot of power, a lot of spinning shit, he hung in there with him. And it's like, Quinones is a step down. Can he crack? Yeah, sure, he can crack. But it just frankly doesn't make sense that his decision is 700, honestly. It's like they're overrating that he's going to get a KO here, right? They're way overrating the KO. And Hani's only been KO'd once in his career. And I understand he's getting older and maybe the durability is going away a little. But how can we adjust that big and say, oh, Quinones is plus 700 now if this goes 15 minutes? It doesn't make sense. So I do like Hani Barcelos' side, but Quinones' decision plus 700 is an astronomical number.
His split is 18-1. I think that's live too. Yeah, it's I think it's a great call. I am on the other side because it's a passion of mine to lose money on Barcelos by sub props. It's like anybody who watches this show and has seen me predict Ronnie's fights, I think he's a great grappler. I think he really is. I think he's a very good wrestler. The only problem is that he rarely does it. It's like you sit there and you're like screaming at the fucking television, like, what are you doing, dude? Grapple this guy, take him down, use your fucking jits. You're really fucking good. And he just rarely does it. Like I honestly can't even remember, I'm saying this as I'm about to give the Rowdies my sub prop again and do it to y'all. But he's really legit on the ground. I think that he's got legit. He had Kyler in some problems when they were fighting his last fight. When he does it, you'll see that he's elite on the ground. I also think that as these fighters are getting older, sometimes I think sometimes it's easier as they're getting older to try to grapple more, and then instead of try to strike with these guys when they're losing speed on the feet and you're not necessarily able to take the same type of punches on the feet. I think a lot of these fighters, like a Cody Garbrandt's a good example of this as well. Some of these guys just go back to some of their roots and realize that, oh, I can still grapple though. I might have lost a step on the feet. I might have lost a step with my quickness and my hand speed and my footwork and shit like that, but I haven't lost a step on my grappling. I think that lasts a little bit longer. So To me, it's also you add like Quinones. I think his grappling deficiencies are legit as well, and I feel like if Barcelos gets this fight to the ground, I think it will be pretty easy for him to pass and get to really offensive positions. So they're hanging plus 430 on him by sub. I think if he does sub him, I think it's in the first 2 rounds. So sub 1 is plus 1,000, sub 2 is plus 1,400. So again, it's a passion of mine to lose money on Roundy by sub, but why not throw another shot at it?
Yeah, I mean, I played it early in the week too. I think his sub is live here. This is. I also said this is probably the worst grappler he's faced out of in a long time. I mean, look at the guys he's faced. They're all better grapplers than this guy. So it is what it is. Hani is 36, but I mean, Kung Ho King was 36, and he rocked this guy and then subbed him. Right? Who knows? Let's move on. Fight number 8. It is in the lightweight division. It is the 14-2 Manuel Torres versus the 11-1 Chris Duncan. And this one's your.
Man, I can't wait to hear what you got to say on this one. I have like fucking 5 props on this one. This one is all over the place because I think if you're on either side, I think I can make legit arguments for either side in this fight. And I end up leaning to the Torres side, but I'll say this for the Duncan side. Like, to me, the Duncan by decision line is way off, similar to what you were saying about the Quinones fight. Like, dude, the Duncan by decision is like plus 850. Duncan by split decision is plus 3,000. Like, dude, this could easily be like after the first round. If he fights the way that he's fought the last couple fights, where he's just taking guys down and cage pushing and extraordinarily boring fights, that he's trying to like protect his chin and not really get into these firefights as much. This is how he wins. He's also not like this tremendous like submission grappler either. He's like lay and pray, doesn't really pass, holds in his position, throws a couple strikes, absolutely position over submission. And it's like, it could be the most boring fight ever where he wins a 29-28 after losing the first round and surviving some shots. So to me, I just think that that's super, super live if you're on the Duncan side. If Torres for me also is a guy that, similar to some of these other fighters, has like, I don't want to say that he's only got like 7 minutes, but he throws everything into his strikes and he goes for so much. As soon as he gets hit, he chills out at first and then he gets hit and then he's just like smoke comes out his ears and he's like, I'm going to fucking kill this guy. And he just goes completely full rabies mode. And I just think that like the round 1, round 2 for me would be the Torres. And I don't even think that it's just like KO is the only way that he could win. This guy has a nice front choke series as well. And I do think that if he bonks Duncan early, the bonk like concussion mode of I'm just going to shoot the dumbest shot ever and put my neck out there. He's got like a ton of subs and he's got a good front choke and he's got those as Moy's Noise would say, he's got those fishpole arms, man, and he can actually just get it under really quick. So I think the round 1 is it's shitty. It's plus 170, but instead of like the plus 230 on the KO, I don't think it's like that much worth it to go for 60 cents on that. I would rather just do the 170 because the sub is like is live. I don't think it's as live as the KO, obviously, but if you're talking just for 60 cents, I think it's not worth it getting greedy on it. And I do think that the sub is live for Torres. I do think that the sub in round 1 and round 2 is live if he gets a club and sub or catches him in a really, really bad takedown attempt, which is very, very possible for Duncan because he just hasn't been like the takedowns that he's going for and the cage push that he's going for. I just can easily see him putting his neck in the wrong spot and getting subbed. So round 1, round 2, plus 550 for round 2, plus 170. And then the sub is plus 600. And I would just do sub 1, sub 2 is plus 1,100 and plus 2,700. I think for Torres, I think it's round 1, round 2 for him.
Yeah, how about you? I mean, this guy's going to gas. Like if he doesn't knock out Duncan, he's going to gas. I'm almost certain he's going to gas. He throws everything into every shot. But Duncan is like so hittable, bro. Like every single fight he's getting cracked. This is probably the biggest hitter he's ever faced. And when Torres has you hurt, man, like he's gonna kill you. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you said round one. I'm not even gonna say it. I'm gonna go with Duncan surviving and go round two, round three, 850 and 1600. There's a 1600 out there. If you have Hard Rock, by the way, 2250 for round three on Chris Duncan. So, I mean, if this fight extends there, and I know I've seen Duncan like just kind of like, but he still actually goes for it. And I think this guy will be dead tired if it goes to round three, honestly. And I think Duncan probably finishes him just because of pure exhaustion. So I'm going to go 2-3, 850, 1600, the guy with better cardio, the guy that's proven to go 3 rounds, that can grapple, that probably has a grappling edge. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like Duncan late round props here, but it is, I'm telling you, it is very dangerous in round one for Duncan. He gets hit all the time and he might go to sleep. Moving on, fight number 9. It is in the strawweight division. It is the 10-1 Yasmin Harrier versus the 8-5 Sam Hughes. This one's kind of shitty. I really didn't like anything that I saw. I'm going to take a shot in the dark. Harrier by sub, plus 1,000. I've seen her grapple on the regional scene. She attempted a couple of takedowns against Nunes. I think Sam Hughes might try to grapple and, you know, getting herself in some bad spot. She can get hurt on the feet, maybe club and sub, something like that. But I don't really love it. I sprinkled it. It's a small play, very, very small. But nothing else really sticks out. I mean, Sam Hughes is too hittable on the feet. She gets cracked way too often. She's tough. She's hard to hold down. She's scrappy, but she's just not the better mixed martial artist here, you know. And Harrigan's chin is very questionable, but Sam Hughes has no pop in her punches. That's the problem. She's literally got no pop in her punches. So, yeah, I mean, she got dropped against Estela Nunes, but Nunes hits way harder than Sam Hughes does. So, sub plus 1,000.
Yeah, I'm gonna go late round props with Yasmin. I feel like you said, I just think that this is the power differential between these two fighters on the feet is significant. Also, I just think that the striking acumen on these two fighters is also significant. And I don't hate. I put down sub 2, sub 3, like because they're just absurd lines. You got 35 and 44 to 1. Like club and sub is super live here. Like it just is. I just feel like same deal with the last fight. I just feel these guys when they get concussed, they shoot from the worst places ever, and they shoot from 10 feet away, and they throw their neck and head first. But I do think it's most likely a KO. I do think that there's a chance that you could have like similar to the fight with a doctor stoppage. It could be something where she just gets her ass just handed to her on the feet, and the doctor comes in after first or second round, and they're just like, this is over. You can't keep fighting. So round 2, round 3, plus 750, plus 1,000, and small, maybe take small stabs on sub 2, 35 to 1, sub 3, 44 to 1.
Sam round 3 sub plus 10,000. Where the heck is that at? That's funny. I don't think she's going to get that. But I mean, Sam, here's the problem for Sam in this fight. Sam is usually the girl that out-cardios her opponents, right? Harrigan has very good cardio. That's the problem here. It's a big, big problem for her. Oh, bet 365? Okay. Yeah. I think it's a problem for her because she can't out-cardio this girl, honestly. I don't think so. Let's move on. Fight number 10. It is in the bantamweight division. It is the 8-1 Raul Rosas Jr. versus the 12-3 Ricky Tercios. And this one's yours, Tim.
All right, so I'm going to start off with this great quote for Ricky Tercios. You know what I'm saying? So when you hear me say, you know what I'm saying, a bunch of times, I'm just quoting Ricky here. You know what I'm saying? And Ricky is the kind of guy that I don't want to be putting a lot of money on against certain fighters, and it's just super unreliable. I remember like the last time we had a Ricky Tercios fight, I actually went on this podcast and said, oh, the one thing that you can rely on with Ricky is that he will throw volume and they'll continue to throw volume. And I think he went out and tried to throw like 15 strikes and he just stared at his opponent for like the entire fight. It was just like, what is going on? You know what I'm saying? So this is for me, this is a spot where Ricky's kind of like, his striking is not enough on the feet to threaten Raul from just walking into him and just completely like, he's got to have something like with Christian Rodriguez. Also the physicality of takedown defense for Tercios is just legit human poo. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like this is a good setup spot for Rosas. Add the fact that Ricky usually is, scrambly and tries to do a bunch of shit on the ground where he's trying to like throw up some different submissions and trying to do like sweep attempts and stuff like that, where he's not like just holding guard and like, okay, I'm going to wait for my time to actually get up. He's super squirmy and scrambly. And I think that those situations are going to give up his back at some point. And I just feel like Rosas is elite at taking backs, and once he gets your back, he's not letting you go. I think he also had both of us were big on Christian Rodriguez in that last fight. We both thought that it was too big too soon for Raul when we were both right. And I think I'm pretty sure, I remember he had Rodriguez in a bad spot in the first round. Like he had a good spot. He had a good aggressive spot with him. He had a good choke in, and then he got out of it. And then I just feel like I do not feel like that's going to be a thing that Ricky's going to get out of in this fight. So when Raul was asked what he thought he was going to do, he said, and that means that I'm going to sub Ricky in the first round or second round in this fight, most likely the first round. So Rosas by sub plus 240, sub 1 plus 600, sub 2 plus 1,000.
Yeah, man, I honestly think he's going to sub him as well, man. Like, I know Ricky's never been subbed, and Ricky is kind of like a weasel on the ground. Like, he's hard to sub. He's extremely, weaselly, basically. He is definitely a weasel. And he's a black belt, too, like, on the ground. But his takedown defense is god-awful. It's terrible. He's trying to, out jujitsu these guys off his back and scramble and this and that. I just think he's going to have a problem here because Rosas can wrestle really well, but he also has the BJJ to like really fucking threaten here. So I'm going to have two plays here. Sub 1 Rosas plus 600, Tim. And then I have to play round 3 Tercios, 1900. I have to, just for the fact that I've seen Rosas time and again gas. And the one thing I could say with Tercios is if he does what he normally does and make this scrambly fucking fights, he's going to tire out Rosas. And he doesn't get tired, this fucker, this Tercios guy. However, I will say, this is where I wanted to talk about all the shit that was on his stomach. There was like a bunch of marks, open wounds on Tercios' stomach. He had a big ass red blotch on his back when he walked out of when he was walking away from the weigh-ins. And to top it all off, Tim, at the fucking ceremonial weigh-ins, he didn't take off his shirt. He's the only guy that didn't take off his shirt. And it's all over social media now. And it's like, what does this guy have? Staph infection? What is it? Because he clearly has something going on. And no one can really point a finger to what it is, but there's something going on clearly. And, whether it's staph, if it's staph, that's really going to fucking affect this cardio. You would have to think he's taking antibiotics. It's not a good thing, which makes Tercios, cigarette burns. Come on, bro. What are they torturing him in the gym? But yeah, man, It looks very, very odd what's on his chest. It's literally open wounds, bro. It's extremely weird. But I'm gonna go Rosa sub 1, 600. Tercios round 3, 1900. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a strong take here. I do think Rosas should win here, man. Honestly, it's kind of a good matchup for him. A guy that can't wrestle, but is willing to play jujitsu against a really good jujitsu guy, right? Like Rodriguez, the difference is he's not willing to play jujitsu. He has good takedown defense. He has good scrambling ability, but he wants to get up and kick your ass. He doesn't want to. Tercios don't want to do that. He wants to fucking scramble with you on the ground, which is, it's late nights in Tijuana. Shit gets strange, bro. Shit got really, really strange on his body. Let's move on. Fight 11. It is in the lightweight division. It is the 14-1 Daniel Zellhuber versus the 12-1 Francisco Prado. I'm going right back to the well here, Tim. Zellhuber, submission. I hit it last time. I'm going right back to the well at plus 600 now. I just feel like the length, the striking, it's going to bother Prado to the point where he's going to eventually have to close the distance. I think he's going to probably shoot. He's going to get himself caught in either a guillotine, a Doris, or something. This guy has very long limbs. And it's basically predicated off the range. You know, Zellhuber is good at range. He uses his kicks a lot. And he's got a huge size advantage on Prado. So how has Prado closed that distance? Probably grapple. And probably grappling himself into something. So give me plus 600 on the sub for Daniel Zellhuber here.
Yeah, that was a great. We both cashed on that last sub against Giagos. I think it's also Giagos kind of typically makes mistakes in that realm as well. I have the sub 2-3 is my sprinkle, but I just have round 2, round 3, just in general for both methods, because I do think that Prado is. I think he's got one round 2 finish. Other than that, I think all of his finishes are in round 1. He tends to slow down in fights. He tends to run straight into the pocket and just try to bomb guys. Zellhuber is like he's an enigma as well as to how he's going to fight. There's a couple other fighters that we've talked about. Like you really just got to roll the dice with him and try to hope that you get the good Zellhuber and it's Dr. Jekyll and it's not Mr. Hyde. So yeah, I do feel like the length, like you're saying, and I do think that the cardio edge is for Zellhuber here. I feel like the length is just going to be too much eventually, and I think that he's probably. I don't disagree that the sub is very live. I mean, sub 2-3 is plus 1400, but I just like to play it a little bit safer. On the round 2, it's plus 700, and round 3 at plus 1,000.
All right. Zell is creeping up in the division, but Prado has KO power, and I understand that Zellhuber's been rocked. I still think Zellhuber is very durable. I don't think he's going to be able to get him out of there that easy. So,
yeah, the last thing I'd say too is like a ton of people are referencing the Ogden fight, and I just think that like just Trey Ogden just is really smart fighter. Like he's not great. And he's not really like spectacular at any one particular skill in MMA, but he's really, really intelligent, hyper intelligent, corners guys and gives them really good game plans as well, understands tape and understands what frustrates guys. And he just fought the perfect fight against Zellhuber, adding on top of the fact that Zellhuber was in his debut and probably was nervous as shit in that fight as a huge favorite. So I just think that there's too much like, people are putting way too much value on that one particular fight and him fighting like ass in that fight. And I think the credit should be given to Ogden for fighting a perfect tactical fight in that fight.
yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, Ogden like puts people to sleep or something. He mesmerizes people in the cage, which is it's pretty crazy. Let's move on. We are at the co-main event of the night. It is in the featherweight division. It is the 18-4 Yair Rodriguez versus the 15-3 Brian Ortega in the rematch. This one's yours, Tim.
I was back and forth in this fight. I jumped early in the week. I was thinking I would be on the Yair side, and I just kept going back and forth. And I watched the first fight again, and the reason that I was thinking like, okay, this is, I was thinking that his side. I just think that the striking edge is legit for Yair in this fight. Just his striking acumen is better. He is better on the feet. I'm not saying that Ortega's dead on the feet at all. I don't think that that's the case, but I just think that the speed and the variety of shots with kicks and where they're going to be coming from both sides, all levels. I think the striking is a decent size better for Rodriguez. But the problems that I have with Rodriguez are I can't overlook him. Like when he's the nail, he's just not a good nail. Like if he's a really good hammer and he's not that good of a nail. And like the last fight against Volkanovski, I made two really, really big bets on that fight. I had the KO prop and then I had a most takedowns because I just felt like Volkanovski will strike with him for a little bit and he'll just be like, fuck this. This is not, I have such an easier path on this guy and I'm just going to muscle him down to the ground. He was slamming him all over the place. And then I looked at the Ortega and I'm like, he gets him down in the first round and then he gets injured, but the takedown it was not hard. Like it wasn't difficult to get. And if there's any knock that I would have in going with Ortega over the history of his fights is like, it's kind of similar to like Barcelos, but not at the same level where it's like, you are an unbelievable jiu-jitsu practitioner and you don't try to really proactively wrestle all the time. Like he doesn't go for a ton of takedowns. Like it's an insane, like the stats, I can't remember exactly the exact number, but it's so low, like the amount of takedowns that he's attempted and and he's actually gotten in fights. There's certain fights where he's gotten like 2 or 3 takedowns. I know he did against Korean Zombie. And there's certain ones where he does commit to it where you're like, dude, why don't you do this more often? Like you're elite at this part of your game. And I just think he gets in love with his hands and he's got elite durability. And he's like the fact that he was able to fight and live against Volkanovski in that fight was just, I had late round props on Volkanovski and it still pisses me off. And I just think that he's got great durability. And I just feel like as this fight gets going, and he got him down in the first round where I would think that Yair in the first round would have his best takedown defense and his strongest attempts at defending takedowns early in the fight. And as the fight gets going and his legs start getting tired, that the takedowns will be easier. So I seeing the round one takedown just for me kind of, and seeing how easy he got it, just made me lean more to the Ortega side. And this isn't like a super, super strong lean, but I think at the line, like if you flip the line and you said Yair is plus 150 or 160, I'd be like, he's the side. But if you're saying that it's 150 on Ortega, I just don't think that either one of these guys should be like plus 150, plus 160 against the other. So, money line wise for me, I think that it's kind of an easy, no click dog or pass situation, but we're giving out the Lambos here. So, I think Ortega by sub is very live here at plus 340. I also think that the round 3, round 4, round 5 are good for him. That later on as the fight gets going, he's shown he's had good cardio. He's shown that he's got good durability. And as this fight, as I said earlier, as this fight gets going, I feel like the takedowns will be easier. And once he gets him down on the ground, Yair is similar to what I was saying with Tercios, where he's not a guy that holds guard. He's not a guy that lays on his back. He goes for submissions, and when he goes for submissions and triangles and not stupid shit, but like he goes for these submissions that are dangerous, that allow you to pass and allow you to advance your position. And advancing your position, allowing Ortega to advance position is not a good decision. This guy was probably 3 seconds away from choking out Volkanovski after he hurt him, and like he's got an incredibly tight squeeze, and if he gets that squeeze and he gets his arms around Yair's neck, I think it's over. So give me Ortega by sub plus 340. Just plain rounds, round 3, round 4, round 5, 12 to 1, 16 to 1, and 22 to 1.
Yeah, I like Ortega just because there's questions right about him. He's been out for long. He had multiple surgeries. Those are all questions. They're for sure bad, things that we need to see, right? But in their first booking, he was minus 200. He closed like minus 200, minus 175. And round one was fairly competitive. I think Yair was getting the best of him on the feet, but he got a takedown, right? And we don't know what would have happened, what did happen. He hurt his shoulder. It is what it is. But Ortega, here's the thing that I see. Like on the feet, it's not like a wash. It's not like a washout, I mean. It's competitive. I give the slight edge to Yair. I think he's got the better kicks. But on the ground, it's not close, bro. It's not close. Ortega's a way better grappler than Yair is. And yeah, I know Yair's never been subbed. He's very good sub defense, la, 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 la. But Ortega can go 5 rounds. We've seen it before. Ortega's very dangerous for 5 rounds. We've seen that before. So is Yair, right? On the feet. Like we saw him losing the fight. He pulled out a fucking Hail Mary up elbow with 2 seconds left or whatever it was against Korean Zombie. He was losing. I think both guys are pretty tough. Both guys are durable. They're very friendly, I should say, too. Like I've heard like interviews where they like each other. They didn't want to fight each other and all this other nonsense I was hearing. And then you could see it in the weigh-ins, the ceremonial weigh-ins. They're hugging each other. They're like really cool. They're taking pictures together. They're very close. I think Ortega decision, man, plus 700. Plus 700 on Ortega decision. He's the grappler, right, in this fight. If there's anybody that's going to win minutes via grappling, it's going to be Ortega. On the feet, I favor Yair. But Ortega can strike, man. If Ortega can even be anywhere near what he was in the zombie fight, this cannot be right. These lines cannot be right. So for me, it's Ortega decision. I don't think he's finishing Yair, honestly. I think Yair is very tough. I know Volk finished him, but I don't see Ortega finishing him, to be honest. And Ortega decision is 700. I think that line is a little bit off here. If anybody's finishing here, I do think it's Yair, honestly. I think if, I don't know what finish only is, but I would favor it Yair, finish only.
I think that's a great look, man. Yeah, I agree that it shouldn't be that wide for Ortega by points.
Well, I mean, the line is almost evens, right?
Yeah.
And
then the fight goes
yeah.
to just.
Yeah, I mean, Ortega is 5-1 in decisions, right? His only decision loss is to Volkanovski, right? And then you got Yair. He's also very good in the decisions. He's 6-1, right? And his only decision loss came to Max Holloway. But I'm just kind of taking, like, the one guy has a clear path in the grappling. And most of the minutes that you win, or if a fight goes 5 rounds, it's probably winning a lot of minutes in the grappling, but not finishing. So it's like 700. They're kind of like saying Ortega only has like what? Fucking 15% chance, 20% chance to fucking win a decision? Why? Why is he only that low? Everything, all the decision equity goes to fucking the other side. It makes no sense to me. Like, look at the decision line on Yair, right? 285. So you're telling me if this fight goes to decision, Yair's only plus 285 to win that decision, yet Brian Ortega's plus 700. It quite frankly doesn't make sense to me. And I understand that he's the favorite, but he's not that big of a favorite. He's a minus 140, 150. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
the over 4.5. The over 4.5 is plus 135.
Yeah. And there you go. So they're saying
They're not. They're saying that both got like the decision props. So like it's warped to the finish, even for Yair. I agree that they're both that he's probably like I just feel like Ortega sub is his path. I don't think that he's going to knock out. I don't think he's going to knock out either or even ground and pound. I feel like if he's going to finish, he's going to finish by sub. As I said, I think Yair could finish on the feet in pretty much any round. Like he literally killed Zombie in fucking 1 second left to go in the fight after losing 3-1 in the rounds. So like he can KO him and he's flashy, so he could get him with any one of those shots at any point. But like you're saying, man, like plus 700. The only way that I would clap back at all in that is that it's in Mexico and that the crowd is probably going to go wild, and maybe they want to try to set up maybe they want Yair to win this fight a little bit more, but it's not evidence based.
Yeah. There's some good discussion on this. I didn't even know. Where is it? There's a lot of discussion on this. Let's go back. Okay, Dixon says, any concerns with Ortega arriving in Mexico on Monday and only starting to train at Elevation on Tuesday?
Yes.
Obviously, it's a little late. If you read, if you actually Google, and look at how long the body takes to assimilate to Elevation, it says 3 days, 72 hours.
It's more. It's
Now
it's
that doesn't, well, that doesn't mean, I think that's just walking or something. Like you're not like trained, fighting, right? So I would think it's probably a couple of weeks, I would say, of training at least.
it's also it's different factors. I mean, I know tennis is different, but like even like it's not just your cardio. Like in tennis, like the elevation actually makes the ball fly way farther. So you're hitting shots, you're going, what the hell is going on? So you have to change your style. But like the gas tank, it's just there's different levels on each stage of how much higher you're going up. Like so it's not it's like you could say on average that it's this amount of time, but then you're saying, well, that's for this elevation. It's like each level that you go up with this, it just gets that much harder. And it's one of those things too where it's like you feel like you're fine until you're not. You feel like you're I'm okay, I'm fine, I can do everything fine, and then all of a sudden you're just off a cliff and you're like, oh, I completely have no oxygen, my lungs are dead, and you have in your body chemistry just feels like I can't push beyond. Like sometimes you'll hit a wall and you'll be like, I can get over this wall, and I can hit the next wall, and I can get over, and it's like you hit the wall in these situations and you're like, I can't go over the next wall. So it ends your game drops off in different sports, not just this sport. It's like football when teams go to Denver, like it falls off really fucking fast.
Yeah, I mean it's understandable, and listen, Ortega can come in here very washed, man. Like we don't know, like all these surgeries. He's also, if you listen to his interview, he's talking about something. He's not mentioning what it is, but he says I'm going to talk about it later. He's in a dark place. He's this, he's that, and I don't know what's going on in his personal life.
It's letting up Tracy Cortez. It's letting go of Tracy Cortez. 100%. Wouldn't we all be really in a dark place if we made that decision?
You're terrible, dude. I don't know what it is. I can't say what it is, but yeah. Will Ortega's shoulder hold together? Yeah, man. I mean,
big question.
Nah, that's not even a question mark for me. I did shoulder surgery. It's been a while, bro. He's fine. His shoulder's fine. He had other surgeries, apparently. I don't know what the fuck the other surgeries are. Nobody knows. He says he's gonna talk about it after the fight. So, I mean, there's a lot of question marks. Don't get me wrong. If there wasn't question marks, this line wouldn't be where it was, honestly.
It's baked into the line for sure.
Yeah, of course it's baked in. He fumbled Tracy, huge factor. I don't know. I don't know if he fumbled Tracy. Nobody knows. Listen, but nobody knows how Tracy is. Only he does. Like nobody knows. Like maybe she's not nice. Maybe I don't know. I'm just saying. Maybe she's the best person in the world. I know she's easy on the eyes, but that doesn't mean anything when it comes to other stuff. I have a weird feeling Yair runs through Ortega as anyone's. I mean, it's possible. Ortega head movement is trash. Yeah, it's definitely bad. He's got a great chin, but yeah, his head movement is not very good. Want to go all in a Rodriguez physique, but as I look at a tape, I wasn't as impressed as I thought it would be. Ortega can definitely finish this guy. Fight goes vibes. Yeah, I think so too. Max teaching Ortega to block mid-fight still plays in my mind.
Max had a good sub. Max had a good sub attempt against Yair too, which is another
Yeah.
reason I mean the sub.
I actually feel like Yair is just a sneaky call. He's not subbing Yair. He's not subbing Ortega. No chance. Compared to Yair, I mean, I wouldn't say so slow. Maybe now, I don't know, but I wouldn't say so slow. He's slower. I wouldn't say so slow, but I will say I think his hand, the boxing is better from Ortega. Like he's got better boxing. He doesn't have better striking overall. He's got better boxing. His hands are better. Like, dude, what happened to the year that was fighting Zombie? That boxing clinic he put on Zombie. Oh my goodness. Yes, Narco Yair finish. It could be. It could be. Ortega beats Yair and the arena might riot again. That's not Narco. What is Ortega gets outstruck 230 to 110, but Ortega gets 3 takedowns. Will he get the decision over Yair in Mexico? Probably not. Like, if he gets outstruck by that much, no. He shouldn't, to be honest. By the way, this is a 5-round fight. So I don't know if people know this, but it's a 5-round fight. So no split decision here. Yeah, I mean, Tim said it.
It's
1,800. It's 1,800 on Ortega, right?
Yep.
Or did you not say that?
No, it's pretty wide. Yeah, it's pretty wide. It's also like plus, I think 550 or 600 or something like that for the just end split.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this Ortega been in Mexico for 2 days. It's not the best thing.
Plus 650 in end split.
Yeah. No, but what's Ortega by split?
18 to 1, I'm pretty sure.
18 to 1? Yeah. I mean, damn, there's a lot of people. The rounds feel like 12. Yeah, I mean, when you're up there, it's not as easy for sure. Seems to me she broke up with him, has broken heart vibes. It could be, but he says he's in a better place, man. Call me, yes. Dr. Narco Cop. Exactly. I know I can heal all your wounds, guys. Give me a call. Ortega supposedly banging one of the UFC ring girls. Where are you getting this shit from? Oh my God. We need a crazy Lambo parlay hit again, brother. Let's go. Yeah, we need it. Why is no one on Rodriguez late? I don't know. We'll see. All right. 217 of you in here. How many likes do we have? Can you tell me? I need to know before we move on, please. How many likes?
Hold on. I'm going to get on to your side here.
Can somebody tell me in chat how many likes?
76.
76 likes? How is that possible?
78.
How is there 218 people in here?
Because it's so hard to press that thumb up button when you're watching.
Unbelievable.
It's so hard. You're lifting up. You have to coordinate your hand.
Girls, anybody.
You have to lift the finger, that pointer finger. You have to index it. And you have to press down really hard.
Guys, you know this thing called the mouse right here? There's a left click button here. You go down to that like little heart and you press it. And then that's all you need to do. That's it. That's all you need to do. With that being said, Tim, let's move on to the main event of the night. And it is in the flyweight division. It is the 21-7-2 Brandon Moreno versus the 15-7 Brandon Royval in the rematch. You know what's funny, Tim? I said this on Spaces the other day. I guess I caught it like at the end. The co-main and the main are both rematches, and they're both shoulder injuries to two guys.
Yep.
Both guys got hurt in round one. Royval got hurt, and so did the fucking Ortega. And they're both, they're both running it back here. First off, I'm sorry, but this line is wide. Like, plus 240 is just wide. Like, do I think Moreno wins? Yes. Do I think he should be minus 300? No. Like, why? Can you explain to me what in that first round told people that this is supposed to be minus 300? I didn't see it, to be honest. I don't know. Do you know? Does anybody here know? Because I know. What was the line last time these two fought? What was the line? Does anybody know?
I can't
And
remember.
don't look it up. Don't look it up because I looked it up when I was taping this fight. What was the line when these two fought last time out?
I would guess like minus 170.
No one's saying it. Anyways, I'm going to say it. It was anywhere from 140 to about 165.
Yep.
That's what it closed. Okay. How, after that fight, do we get to minus 300? Please tell me how. Like, it was competitive on the feet. Like, Royval fucking blasted him a couple of times on the feet. And then, they got that takedown. It wasn't minus 230, Joel. No. It was minus 160, bro. The line closed minus 160, minus 140 in some spots. Like, why the fuck is this guy now minus 300? I don't understand. Like, I get that Moreno's a better mixed martial artist, but man, Royval is a very hard guy to fight because he makes everything hectic and he's wild and he's just a hard guy to train for. Listen, Pantoja easily beat him, right? And I forgot the actual scores. If somebody knows them, put them up there. But he still made life hell for Pantoja in that fight. Bro, he's like fucking scrambling. But the difference between Pantoja and Royval is the fact that Pantoja is an elite grappler with elite control. That's not what Moreno is. He doesn't have elite grappling and elite control. So I feel like, yeah, can Moreno land takedowns? Sure, he can land takedowns. But Royval can pop back up on the feet. He can make life hell on the feet. He's throwing all this fucking crazy shit, right? And you know what's crazy, Tim? Pantoja had a ton of control time. Had, I think, 6, 7, 8 takedowns. I don't remember. Guess who won the striking battle? Who outstruck the other? Royval outstruck him. The dude is a fucking menace in the cage, dude. Like, he's going to go hard 15, hard 25 in this case, and he's just going to keep fucking throwing and throwing and throwing, and he's going to make your life a living hell on the ground because he's throwing up all types of weird shit, weird submissions. He's just a hard guy to deal with. And I love Moreno. I think he's a very good, Moreno has a body triangle. You don't think fucking Pantoja has a body triangle? Like, who's the better grappler, Pantoja or Moreno? It's not close when it comes to jiu-jitsu and control. Everybody says that. Like, Pantoja is by far the better fucking grappler and control grappler. So, on the feet, like, yeah, I feel like Moreno he's a little bit smoother, but he just doesn't have the pop that Pantoja did either. Like, Pantoja has more power in his punches. So, I'm going to go with Royval decision, man. It's very hard to finish Moreno, but I think he can make it hectic. I think he can win minutes based on volume, based on making it crazy. Plus 700. Somebody said plus 800, I see somebody put. That's a wild line. That's a wild 820 on points. I don't have points bet, but that's a fucking wild line, man. I'm going to take Royval decision. I'm still debating on playing his money line. I was waiting for everybody to parlay Moreno so I could play him, but yeah, man, it can't be that he is that big of a dog now based on the first fight. Like, you can't watch that fight and tell me that he's this big of a dog now. I don't see it. How about you, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would kind of disagree with, and don't get me wrong, like, I don't think that that Moreno is as good of a submission grappler, wrestler, or just control grappler as Pantoja is. So, like, I'll say that to be, I agree with you that but the problem is that, or not the problem, but like, But when you talk about Pantoja, you like this is the best in the world at this. Like he's the best in the world at, and one of the best like multiple division. If you just compare guys to like back takes and like, okay, how good are control grapplers in most weight classes? Like he's one of the best just all around grappler, control grapplers, and back takers in the UFC, like out of everybody. So I think by saying that Moreno is not that, I think, yeah, I mean, I don't think that there are many fighters in the UFC that are that, but I tend to think that Moreno's grappling is, I think it's better than what you're giving him credit for. Like, I think he's a solid grappler. I think he's a solid, really a very like 8 out of 10 in like every aspect of MMA. Like, I think he's a really, really solid fighter, got very, very good cardio, very solid striking, very good durability, good wrestler, good jiu-jitsu. Like he's really not he's not exploitable in any realm of the game. Like he's not a guy that you're like, oh, this is the game plan. You need to do this and this and this to get to him. It's like, no, you need to fight a really good fight all the way around, because if you don't, he can beat you in 10 different ways. And I just think that for me, for Moreno, that as well as, and I've minus the last fight against Pantoja, I've been a huge supporter of Royval and a huge bettor on his fights. Like I've made a ton of money on Royval when everybody was saying he's spazzy and fluky and all this different shit. I've been like, dude, this guy's got a legitimate game and he brings the chaos, and the chaos, if you're not willing to, or you don't deal with chaos well, he's going to fuck you up. And the problem that I see in the last couple of fights with Royval is that he's doing that less. Like he's less chaotic in the last couple. Like I don't know what it is. Like I don't know what the reason is as to why he's doing it, but he doesn't seem to have that like flashy go at you like in the really, really hardcore in the first. And people will also say like he would gas in fights and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, like, but he's super chaotic. Like, so to me, I just feel like short notice, in this elevation, we're not supposed to talk about it again, but like short notice with this elevation to me is like, I don't think that it should be as wide as it is. I do think that it is wide, but I think that when you're jumping at 170 or 160 to minus 170 to like minus 230 for short notice in this situation, something like that, I think that's more right. Yeah.
Time out. Why short notice?
Is he on short notice? He's covering for Albazi, right?
Dude, 7 weeks? 6 weeks of camp? That's not short notice to me. Yeah,
it's not terribly short notice, but it's not like a full camp.
I mean, it's 6 weeks. I mean, it's plenty of fucking time. Like, I hear the short notice, but this is not one of those short notices where
it's not 2 weeks. It's not 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's a 6-week camp, bro. Like, this is kind of normal, honestly. Like, a lot of guys take fights 6 weeks later. Like, that's not. 7 weeks is like a lot of guys take 6-7 weeks. It's not a fucking short camp. I keep hearing short camp. This is not a short camp, guys. He got this call 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's not the typical short camp, but it's definitely not a full camp.
Yeah, but when we talk about short camps, we're talking about
these guys usually have 3 months to train for a fight, at least.
No.
They're usually like 10 to 12 weeks.
Look at the guys that look at their Instagram, and when they have fights booked, it's usually 8 weeks. It's usually 7 weeks, 9 weeks. It's never fucking 12 weeks. Never. I promise you, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, listen. My point is, you're right. It's just short. It's shorter than normal.
Right.
But 6 weeks is plenty of time. And this is not. I'm just saying this is not what I would consider a short notice fight, right? Okay. Short notice for me would be, like 3 weeks and under. Like that's kind of short notice. Like you're kind of scrambling, right? I don't think this is short notice, to be honest. Just to be fair. But go ahead.
Yeah. So for me, I just think that he's fought a certain style, and I feel like if there's nothing from the first fight where I'm, I think like, oh, this is. I saw this and I saw this and I saw it. It's like, no, it's nothing. There's not enough to see in that fight. But to me, I just think that Moreno is the kind of guy that, again, makes really good adjustments mid-fight. And I see this fight going one of two ways. I see it as either a close in some of the rounds, might be a split-ish kind of decision. And And if you're on Royval, I would think that if he's winning a decision in Mexico, it's probably a close decision, a close split. But I think that there is a potential that Moreno could get to him a little bit later in the fight. And I feel like in some of these positions that, and I know that Pantoja didn't sub him, but I feel like Pantoja was doing almost everything he could to just control him and just in that fight. He was not really as aggressive in going for subs in that fight as he normally is. And I don't know. I'll take my small stabs at the round 3, the late round props for Moreno, and I think that if Royval is going to go at him early, maybe he starts to gas a little bit. I don't know how long ago he got to Mexico City, but plus 1,000, plus 1,500, plus 2,000 for Moreno. Not super confident in it. Kind of lean fight goes, but I like those juicy numbers.
I think. Listen, when it comes to the side, who I think is going to win, I think Moreno's going to win. I don't think the line is correct. I think there's value. When you're betting, guys, we're looking at value at the number. And I think 240, 250 Royval is a little bit off here. To me, it's a little bit off. And, I think Royval, when you get these type of prices on him, honestly, Tim, he's just a guy that is probably a good bet. The crazy part is, and the crazy part is, he was 155, 160, 170 against Pantoja, right? And now he's 240. And who's the better fighter, Pantoja or Moreno? It's close. But why is Moreno 300 though?
Yeah,
that's my thing.
Yeah.
It's like, why? So anyways, that's all 13 fights. Thank you everybody in the chat for joining us. 214 of you in here. Again, hit the like, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, hit that notification button so you know when we go live here on the channel. Also, my Discord is down below. If you want, link down below, $25 a month. Get to chat fights, get my picks, talk about anything you guys want in there. We have a big community in there, over 200 people. Great people in there. I love every one of them. So, with that being said, Tim, do you have some Lambo parlays for the people?
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, we have a guy that I have a passion of losing money on his sub props in the Lambo parlay. So we got Rowney by sub, Rosas by sub, and so we got 2 with Chirez that you have to do both of them to kind of cover both bases. Rowney sub, Rosas sub, and Chirez round 1 is 38-1, and then the same parlay, but Chirez round 2 is 89-1. So kind of cover both bases on Chirez.
So give me it again. What is it again?
Barcelo sub, Rosas sub, and then Chirez in round 1 is 38-1, and then Rosas sub, Barcelo sub, and Chirez round 2 is 89-1.
So just adding round 2.
Yeah, just do both. One with round 1, one with round 2.
All right. So this was a hard one for me. I was going back and forth. Which one do I like? Which one do I want to play? I'm going to go with, I have 2 of them here, which is funny. I have 2 of them mixed up. I'm going to go with Naimov 2-3, like mix and match with Aguilar 2-3. So
like
if you want to mix and match those 2, I'm going to mix and match them already. I already did it actually, but I kind of have an inkling, like the other one I have there is ZM. It was those 3, and I didn't know who to decide on, to be honest, and I went with these 2. Naimov is definitely in there. It was between Aguilar and ZM, so I went with Aguilar. But yeah, those are ranging from anywhere from like 100 and something to 1 to, I think the lowest one was like 40-1. But yeah, those are the 2 I like. I love it. I think we might hit one here this week, Tim. Last week, I think I hit one of them. The other one didn't come through. But yeah, I mean, I think we've hit 3 of them already this year. That's a lot. I mean, to begin the year. So it's hard to hit these, man. These big numbers, but we'll see what happens. What else do we got here? Let's make that money. Yes, sir. Thank you. Mark says I'm in the Discord, just or the Fight Night Spaces. Yes, sir. Duncan decision 1050 on Unibot. Not bad if you want the decision. I don't think it gets there, honestly. I don't think it gets there. All right, guys. That's it. 217 of you in here. Thank you very, very much. Tim, you got any? I don't think you have anything going on tomorrow because I know Sean is moving and he's got a bunch of shit going on. So,
yes, sir. Just in there with you, in there in your live spaces.
Yeah, I mean, I'm debating still. Maybe I'm gonna do a Twitter one for everybody tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe do a Twitter one for everybody, and we'll see. We'll see. I'm still deciding. It's either gonna be in the Discord or Twitter. We'll see how many people convince me to do it on Twitter. But yeah, thank you very, very much, guys. Appreciate you, each and every one of you. Like I usually say. Because without you guys, man, this show wouldn't be here. So props to you guys. I love the interactions in chat. Keep them coming. If you have any comments, I usually answer all the comments after the fact on the video. So for you, timestamp warriors, I will have the timestamps up probably tomorrow. But again, thank you very, very much. JD Film says he misses the spaces. See, they're already convincing me. But all right, guys, thank you very, very much. Have a great night. Good luck on your bets tomorrow. And let's fucking cash those tickets for UFC Mexico.